Hello, friends. What I am about to cover in this video is not based on rumors or speculation. The American Bankers Association, the FDIC, and federal consumer protection agencies have issued formal documented warnings this year about specific threats targeting seniors at banks, ATMs, and on their phones. Not suggestions, not general tips. Official guidance backed by federal law and distributed directly to bank branches across the country. I went through every single one of those warnings carefully, and I am going to cover them here in plain language, because most seniors either have not seen them or came across them briefly and did not realize how serious they are. Everything in this video applies to anyone who receives Social Security by direct deposit, walks into a bank branch, or uses an ATM. That covers virtually every senior in America. Watch this until the end and then pass it along to someone you care about, because this information has real dollar value attached to it. Before we get into the specifics, please subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the bell notification. And let me tell you exactly why that matters here specifically. The threats I am covering today are not the same ones that were circulating 2 or 3 years ago. The cryptocurrency cash scheme, the card shimming devices, the in-person distraction techniques, these are active and documented in 2026, flagged by federal agencies this calendar year, and the overwhelming majority of people have no awareness they exist until someone in their life becomes a victim. What this channel does is track exactly this kind of information, new threats, new regulatory warnings, new consumer protections, and deliver it to you in plain language before it becomes your problem or someone you love's problem. The people who are subscribed find out in time to protect themselves. The ones who are not tend to find out afterward, after the account has been drained, after the wire has gone through, after the money is already gone and cannot come back. That is the entire difference. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and let us get into what you need to know. Let me start with something that has been escalating sharply in 2026, and that banks across the country are now actively posting warnings about inside branch lobbies and on their official websites. There is a scheme operating right now that is draining senior bank accounts in a matter of hours, and it does not start with a suspicious email or a phone call from a stranger. It starts in person at an ATM or inside the branch itself, in places that feel completely safe. Banks are telling their customers directly and formally. The people standing near you at an ATM are not always there by coincidence. This year, the American Bankers Association issued a formal fraud alert following documented incidents in multiple metropolitan areas where criminals were inserting physical cash capture devices inside ATM dispensers. These devices sit inside the cash slot and intercept your bills the moment the machine releases them. The transaction process is normally on your end. Your balance shows the withdrawal. The screen confirms the amount. You see nothing come out. You assume the machine had a mechanical failure. You walk away to find another ATM or call your bank from home. The criminal removes the device and your cash within minutes of your departure. Both the ABA and the United States Secret Service have issued active warnings about this specific scheme in 2026. If you use an ATM and your cash does not appear after a transaction that processed successfully, do not leave that location. Stay at the machine, call your bank immediately using the number on the back of your card or on the ATM itself, and ask them to flag and hold that transaction before you walk away. Moving away from the machine before reporting means losing your ability to document what happened in real time. The first rule that banks are formally communicating to customers right now: your card does not leave your hands. Not to a stranger who approaches and offers assistance, not to someone standing nearby who seems friendly, not to anyone outside of a secured teller window inside the branch. Here is why this matters at a level most people have not considered. A device called a card shimmer, the current evolution of the older card skimmer, can read every piece of data encoded on your chip in under 3 seconds of physical contact. Unlike older skimmers that only read the magnetic strip on the back, a shimmer is thin enough to slide inside the card reader itself and captures your chip data completely. You cannot see it, you cannot feel it. 3 seconds of your card being in someone else's hand is sufficient for your account information to be compromised entirely. If you have difficulty operating an ATM on your own, walk inside the branch and ask a uniformed teller for assistance at the window. If a stranger near the machine offers to help and reaches toward your card for any reason, do not engage. Walk directly into the branch. The second rule that banks are communicating formally in 2026: shield your PIN every single time you enter it, without exception, regardless of who appears to be nearby or whether you believe you are alone. The ABA's published consumer guidance on this point is unambiguous. Place your free hand over the keypad as a physical cover every time you enter your PIN. There are confirmed documented cases of small cameras embedded in fixtures near ATM keypads, angled mirrors positioned to capture keypad inputs, and recording devices disguised as ordinary ATM components that have successfully captured PIN numbers from customers who were confident they were not being observed. When you conduct a transaction with a teller inside a branch and you are required to enter your PIN on a keypad at the window, the teller is required by bank policy to avert their eyes during that entry. This is not a courtesy extended to you. It is a formal banking protocol. If a teller does not look away automatically, you are fully within your rights to say directly, "Please look away while I enter my PIN." That request cannot be refused by any legitimate bank employee, and you should make it without hesitation. The third rule: your phone remains in your possession inside the bank. This is the rule that surprises people the most because the situation that triggers it feels like routine, helpful service. A bank employee, or someone presenting themselves as one, asks to see your phone in order to help you set up your mobile banking application, troubleshoot an account access issue, or verify your identity through the app. You hand it over. It looks and feels like normal assistance. Here is what banks are specifically warning about in their 2026 guidance. A smartphone with an open banking application is a direct and immediate portal to your accounts and your personal data. In documented cases, an individual with physical access to a phone for as little as 30 seconds has completed unauthorized fund transfers, enrolled their own device as a secondary trusted contact on the account, and in some cases, installed remote access applications that provided ongoing account access long after the phone was returned. Legitimate bank employees assist you by walking you through each step verbally. You perform every action on the device yourself. If anyone at a bank branch insists that they must physically hold your phone in order to complete the assistance you are receiving, stop the interaction and ask for the branch manager. That request is completely reasonable. It is your right as an account holder, and any legitimate financial institution will honor it without resistance. The fourth rule, and this is the warning that banks and federal agencies have elevated to their highest priority alert level in 2026. Under no circumstances should you withdraw cash from your bank and carry it to a cryptocurrency ATM or kiosk because someone instructed you to do so over the phone or by message. This may sound too obvious to need saying. It is worth saying anyway because the Federal Bureau of Investigation and multiple state attorneys general report that this is now among the fastest growing financial fraud categories targeting Americans over the age of 65 in the entire country. And the victims are not people who are easily confused. They are frequently described as sharp, organized, and financially aware individuals who were placed under extreme artificial pressure at exactly the right moment. Here is the specific sequence these criminals use. You receive a call or a message from someone representing themselves as the Internal Revenue Service, the Social Security Administration, Medicare, or a law enforcement agency. They tell you with authority and urgency that your account has been flagged for suspicious activity, that your identity has been stolen and your funds are at immediate risk, or that you have an outstanding balance that must be resolved immediately to avoid arrest or benefit suspension. They know your name. In many cases, they have additional personal details that make them sound credible. They direct you to go to your bank, withdraw a specific amount of cash, and deposit it into a Bitcoin ATM or cryptocurrency kiosk at a nearby gas station or retail location. They tell you this process is the official secure method to protect your funds or resolve the matter. The moment that cash goes into the machine, it is permanently gone. There is no reversal process. There is no recovery mechanism. There is no institution to call. The transaction is irreversible by design, and the funds are untraceable by the time you hang up the phone. Indiana enacted the first statewide ban on cryptocurrency ATMs in March 2026 specifically because of this fraud pattern. Tennessee and Minnesota passed similar legislation within weeks. As of mid-2026, 30 states have enacted laws restricting cryptocurrency kiosk operations with senior financial protection as the stated legislative basis. Banks across the country are now formally training branch employees to gently intervene when a senior customer requests an unusually large cash withdrawal, particularly when that customer appears to be on an active phone call during the transaction. In multiple documented cases, a bank employee asking a simple question before the withdrawal was completed was the only thing that stood between a customer and a total loss of their savings. If a bank employee asks you why you are making a large withdrawal, answer them honestly. They are not overstepping. They are not being intrusive. They may be the only person in a position to interrupt something that cannot be undone. The IRS does not instruct people to move money into cryptocurrency. Social Security does not instruct people to move money into cryptocurrency. Law enforcement does not instruct people to move money into cryptocurrency, not under any circumstances, not for any reason. That instruction, regardless of how official the caller sounds, is always fraud. The fifth rule: read every document before you sign it, every time, regardless of how routine it appears or how quickly the person across the desk is moving. Banks are now including this explicitly in their formal consumer guidance because the consequences of signing without reading continue to show up in consumer complaint data year after year. Automatic credit line increases attached to accounts. Consent to share personal and financial data with third-party marketing organizations. Enrollment in fee-based services that were never explicitly requested. All of these have appeared in documents that customers signed quickly, under the informal social pressure of not wanting to slow down a transaction or appear difficult. You are never required to sign a document you have not read. That is not a technicality. It is a consumer right. If you are handed paperwork and the pace of the interaction feels designed to move you past reading it, stop and say clearly, "I need a moment to go through this." No legitimate bank can legally require a signature on a document the customer has not been given adequate time to review. If anyone at a branch pushes back against that request, ask immediately for a branch supervisor. If you discover a charge or an enrolled service on your bank statement that you do not recognize or remember authorizing, call the bank directly and ask specifically whether you signed a written authorization and request a copy of it. If you believe you signed something under pressure without fully understanding what you were agreeing to, you have the right to file a formal complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau at consumerfinance.gov. That agency exists specifically to investigate situations like this, and banks are required to respond to CFPB inquiries within regulatory timeframes. One additional protection worth knowing about before we close. Many banks across the country now offer what is called a trusted contact designation on personal accounts. This allows you to name a family member, a close friend, or another trusted individual as a contact the bank can reach out to if they observe account activity that appears unusual or potentially consistent with financial exploitation. This designation does not give that person any authority over your account. They cannot initiate transfers. They cannot make withdrawals. They cannot change account settings. They are simply someone the bank has permission to notify if something looks wrong. If your bank offers this feature and you have not set it up, it is a simple protective step worth taking. Here is the complete summary before you go. Physical cash trap devices inside ATM dispensers are an active and federally documented threat in 2026. If a transaction processes but cash does not appear, stay at the machine and call your bank immediately from that location. Your card stays in your hands at all times at any ATM. No exceptions for any reason. Cover the keypad with your hand every time you enter your PIN, regardless of whether you believe anyone is watching. Keep your phone in your possession inside a bank branch. You enter all information yourself on your own device. No government agency, law enforcement body, or legitimate financial institution will ever instruct you to withdraw cash and deposit it into a cryptocurrency machine. That instruction from any source is always fraud. Read every document fully before signing. Slowing down to read is your legal right, and no legitimate bank will penalize you for exercising it. Consider setting up a trusted contact designation with your bank as an additional layer of protection against account exploitation. Subscribe to this channel and share this video with someone you know who receives Social Security or visits a bank branch regularly. Getting this information to people before something happens is the only version of this that helps. I will see you in the next one.